Iran is now boasting about what it presents as a special missile capability at a moment when the United States appears to be scrambling to strengthen regional defenses against a widening threat. By claiming that its bombs can overwhelm US defenses, Tehran is fueling speculation that any second round of fighting could prove even more difficult and politically damaging for Trump than the first. Iran's latest warning has landed like a stunner just as attacks linked to the conflict are being reported around Fujairah and near US naval activity, deepening fears that the battlefield may be expanding in dangerous ways. Tehran's message also seems aimed at portraying US air defenses as inferior or overstretched, and that is feeding speculation that Trump's Arab allies may now be growing increasingly uneasy about their own vulnerability. On April 4th, an Iranian lawmaker claimed that Iran possesses missiles capable of splitting into as many as 80 bombs or separate warheads, a statement that immediately raised fresh concerns about the scale of Tehran's missile threat. Hosseinali Hajideligani argued that this capability could allow Iran to overwhelm US air defenses, even suggesting that mass launches of such systems would challenge platforms like THAAD and Patriot. Iran International reported that the remarks were made by the deputy head of Iran's Parliament Article 90 committee, giving the statement added political weight inside Iran's official system. Hosseinali Hajideligani said, and I quote, "Islamic Republic has missiles that can split into 80 bombs or separate warheads. Firing 10 such missiles at once would amount to 800 bombs. What THAAD? What Patriot can hit these?" Unquote. The lawmaker's remarks appeared to hint at cluster-style warhead use, a possibility that has drawn attention because Iran is already known to possess and employ such munitions. That concern has only grown because Human Rights Watch said Iran repeatedly used cluster munitions against Israel during the 2026 war, documenting multiple attacks on populated areas. The revelation is now resurfacing at a time of renewed regional anxiety, as the conflict appears to be edging back toward escalation and missile threats once again dominate the strategic conversation. Saudi Arabia on May 4th issued a formal reaction to the Iranian attacks on the UAE's Fujairah region and nearby US warships, signaling growing alarm in Riyadh over the latest escalation. Riyadh condemned what it described as the first Iranian strike on Gulf countries since the ceasefire came into effect, warning that such actions threaten the entire region's stability. The Iranian attacks took place on the very day that the United States began guiding commercial cargo ships through the Strait of Hormuz under a new naval protection mission. The UAE's defense ministry said its air defenses had engaged a total of 15 incoming Iranian missiles and 4 drones on May 4th, intercepting many of them before impact. One of the drone strikes caused a fire at a key oil facility in the Emirate of Fujairah, injuring 3 Indian workers who were present at the site when the blast occurred. In a separate statement, the UK military reported that fires had broken out on board 2 cargo ships off the UAE's coast, believed to be linked to the same wave of attacks. Iranian officials described the strike on Fujairah as a direct consequence of what they called US adventurism, blaming Washington's new naval moves for provoking the confrontation. Sources speaking to Iran's state broadcaster IIB said the attack was the product of US adventurism for illegal passage of ships, accusing America of trying to force its way through Hormuz. Iran's navy also confirmed that it had fired both missiles and drones at US warships that were approaching the Strait of Hormuz as part of the new American escort operation. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman held a phone call with the UAE's president after the attacks, in which the two leaders discussed the situation and coordinated their response to Iran's actions. Riyadh's official statement said, "The Ministry of Foreign Affairs expresses the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's condemnation and strongest denunciation of the Iranian targeting, via missiles and drones, of civilian and economic facilities in the sisterly United Arab Emirates state and of a tanker affiliated with an Emirati company." His Royal Highness Crown Prince conducted a phone call with the President of the United Arab Emirates during which he expressed the kingdom's condemnation and strong denunciation of the unjustified Iranian attacks that targeted the sisterly United Arab Emirates, and affirmed the kingdom stand alongside the UAE in defending its security and stability. Escalation is spreading across the Gulf region, with Iran issuing strong and direct warnings to its regional adversaries amid rapidly rising tensions. Tehran has made it clear it will retaliate against the United Arab Emirates if it takes any action Iran considers unwise or provocative. According to Tasnim news agency, Iran warned that if the UAE becomes what it called a plaything of Israel, it will directly target Emirati interests. An Iranian military source said, and I quote, "No official threat has so far been announced by the Emiratis. But if the Emiratis become a plaything of Israel and make a wrong move, they will learn a lesson they will never forget. If the UAE takes any unwise action, all its interests will become targets for Iran, and no part of Emirati facilities will be safe. The UAE knows it is sitting in a very fragile glass house, and insecurity is absolute poison for it. If it wants to repeat the mistake of the 40-day war, we will completely abandon restraint and treat this Zionist nest as part of the Zionist regime." Unquote. Tehran has framed the Fujairah incident as a retaliatory move, blaming what it describes as ongoing US adventurism in the region. Iranian state media claims the Fujairah strike was not a pre-planned operation, insisting it was a reaction triggered by US actions. Officials in Tehran say the incident resulted from US actions allegedly aimed at creating a passage for what they call illegal transit of ships. These warnings come after strikes linked to Iran hit Emirati territory, intensifying fears that the conflict could widen across the region. An alleged Iranian drone attack triggered a major fire at a petrol complex in Fujairah, raising alarm over critical infrastructure security. The UAE has claimed that Iran launched 4 cruise missiles toward its territory, although Tehran has neither confirmed nor acknowledged the claim. According to Channel 12, a UAE official conveyed to Israel that the country does not intend to remain silent in response to these attacks. Both the UAE and South Korea reported strikes on ships passing through the crucial Strait of Hormuz on May 4th, adding to concerns over maritime security. Emirati leadership has strongly condemned the attacks on civilian areas and signaled that it is prepared to respond if necessary, raising the stakes in an already volatile regional situation. This development highlights a rapidly hardening alignment among Gulf states and Israel, as regional powers appear increasingly united in their stance against Iran's actions. Qatar's emir has also joined the growing wave of condemnation, denouncing Iranian actions and urging all parties to exercise restraint and move immediately toward de-escalation. The Gulf Cooperation Council has likewise condemned Iran's behavior, calling it irresponsible and dangerous, and warning that it poses a serious threat to regional security and stability. Jassim Mohammed al-Budaiwi said, and I quote, "Strikes represent a flagrant violation of the sovereignty of a member state of the Cooperation Council. Targeting the United Arab Emirates is unacceptable and condemned by all standards, and reflects an escalatory approach that disregards the rules of international law and the principles of good neighborliness. We call on the international community to assume its responsibilities to stop these repeated Iranian attacks and to put an immediate end to the irresponsible actions that undermine regional and international peace and security." Unquote. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has condemned Iran's reported missile and drone attacks targeting the United Arab Emirates, posting her response on the platform X and calling for restraint and de-escalation. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump stopped short of labeling the incident a direct violation of the ceasefire, according to reports. Trump also warned Iran that the best outcome for all sides would be maintaining the ceasefire and preventing further escalation in the region. The United Arab Emirates, a key US partner in the region, has strongly criticized Iran over an alleged attack on one of its crude oil tankers. Abu Dhabi claimed that a state-linked oil vessel was targeted by Iranian drones while navigating through the Strait of Hormuz. The tanker, reportedly operated by ADNOC, was said to be empty at the time of the incident on May 3rd. According to the UAE Foreign Ministry, 2 Iranian drones were involved in the strike as the vessel transited the strategic waterway. The UAE has also called for the complete and unconditional reopening of the Strait of Hormuz to ensure uninterrupted maritime movement. Officials in Abu Dhabi accused Iran's naval forces of engaging in coercive tactics and described the actions as a form of maritime piracy. The United States weapons inventory may be under increasing strain, raising concerns about readiness for future conflicts. A report by Business Insider suggests that critical munitions are being consumed at a significant pace during the ongoing Iran war. Over the course of just 39 days, US forces reportedly relied heavily on 7 key weapon systems in coordination with Israel. These findings were highlighted by 2 warfare specialists associated with the Center for Strategic and International Studies. According to defense analysts, such levels of consumption could pose challenges if a larger conflict were to emerge. The report indicates that while the US maintains substantial stockpiles, they may not be sufficient for prolonged or simultaneous wars. Even prior to the Iran conflict, assessment suggested that US stockpiles could be stretched in the event of a major confrontation with China. Experts have warned that replenishing munitions used in the Iran war could take considerable time and industrial capacity. Some estimates indicate that more than half of pre-war inventories for certain systems may already have been expended. The scale of US munitions usage during the Iran conflict is reflected in the numbers below. Around 1,430 Patriot interceptors have reportedly been used out of a total inventory of approximately 2,330 units. 4 SM-3 interceptors. Estimates suggest that between 130 and 250 missiles have been expended from a stockpile exceeding 400. In the case of SM-6 missiles, usage is believed to have reached up to 370 out of an available inventory of about 1,160. Precision strike missiles, considered a newer battlefield asset, have seen between 40 and 70 units deployed from roughly 90 available. Tomahawk land attack cruise missiles have also been used extensively, with more than 850 fired from a stockpile exceeding 3,000. Similarly, around 1,000 joint air-to-surface standoff missiles have reportedly been utilized from an inventory of over 4,000 units. In response, Washington is reportedly moving to expand production and rebuild depleted stockpiles. Lockheed Martin is expected to increase THAAD interceptor production capacity to approximately 400 units annually. Production of Tomahawk missiles is also being scaled up to exceed 1,000 units per year. However, estimates suggest it could take more than 4 years to fully replenish certain key systems. As a result, analysts believe the US could face increased vulnerability in the event of another major conflict. Many of the munitions expended in the Iran war are considered essential for deterrence and operations involving China. Military experts have emphasized the importance of maintaining sufficient long-range strike capabilities for future scenarios. The report further cautions that a potential conflict with China could lead to even faster depletion of US stockpiles.